Hello and welcome to Inner Circle Ministries. This is our YouTube ministry here where we're going to be stepping into the civics today. Um, so we're going to be talking about status corrections. There's been a lot of teachings over the years. Um, I've been in this walk in this movement and living in this life several years, studying and learning a lot of things, and over the past few years have been able to accomplish a few things. So one of the things I want to talk about get done and done properly is your status corrections. If you go through and understanding or have an overstanding of the things that you read that's put out here and by government and their forms and the things that we're using, they're going to be all catering to um, U.S. citizenships and keeping you in U.S. citizenship in such in a sense. And actually, all the forms going to give you things as far as your statuses and your the way you can be identified, even through races or whatever, are all going to be uh, constructs of the corporate entities, and they're going to be labels as such as black, white, Indian, uh, American, Indian, and things of that nature are all names that were given by the corporation to bring us into the corporation. But nevertheless, we want to have our status changed from the U.S. citizen or the corporate employee of the U.S. citizen, uh, quasi man. So, what we're going to be going through real quick is the certificate of non-citizen nationality, and what we're going to be touching on briefly, um, to give you a little prelude of it. It'll be talking about the word state, U.S. citizenship, the USA, um, and nationalities or nationals, and what is a national. Starting from reading at the top, it says certificate of non-citizen nationality. The Department of State occasionally receives requests for the certificates of non-citizen national status pursuant to Section 341B of the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA, 8 USC 1452B. As defined by the INA, all U.S. citizens are U.S. nationals, but only a relative small number of persons acquire U.S. nationality without becoming a U.S. citizen. Section 101A 21 of the INA defines the term national as a person on permanent allegiance to a state. So before we go any further, we're going to come right back up to the beginning of the second paragraph here. As defined by the INA, it says that all U.S. citizens are U.S. nationals, but only a relative small number of persons acquire U.S. nationality without becoming U.S. citizenships. And some of the trickery in there is that a U.S. citizen or a U.S. national are still in the same format. It may sound and have a little similar difference in it, but you're still um, going to be considered and treated just as well as a U.S. citizens. And that's the status we're changing from and getting into our God-given natural birthright status. And that's what it comes into being a national. Right here it says, right after the 21 in the quotation marks here, the INA defines the term national as a person on permanent allegiance to a state. And state here, as you started looking up a lot of these terms and a lot of these names are simple as state and national. Look them up in all different um, sources of definitions. And so it's Black Laws Dictionary, Bouvier's, look at it in the USC codes, and a lot of the codes in here, search them out and see the different definitions that they have for these words, and where you get a full and better understanding. But as I was saying before, most of the forms and the information they're put out with the presumptions and the assumption that everyone is U.S. citizens and everyone's been taught what a U.S. citizen is, and everyone knows the format or the formalities of how to fill out these paperwork and these things as a U.S. citizen, keeping your status as a U.S. citizen corporate employee. But here, a national, as a person on permanent allegiance to a state, Section 101 A22 of the INA provides that the term national of the United States, and once again, you'll see the word national here, and then behind it, you'll have of the United States, including the U.S. citizens. And you'll notice again, U.S. The United starts with a capital U, and the States starts with a S. And when it comes down to U.S., it's got the U.S. citizens and the abbreviation for the same United States above. Do not get them confused with the USA as the United States of America and its republic. Includes all U.S. citizens as well as persons who, though not citizens of the United States, owe permanent allegiance to the state, to the United States, non-citizen nationals. And as you see here, as I was saying earlier, with a little bit of the wordplay, is where you see in here, past or right behind the 21 in parentheses here, the INA defines the term national as a person on permanent allegiance to a state. And then how can someone or what is this national that owes a permanent allegiance to the state? And the national that owes somewhat of a permanent allegiance of the state or to a state in lowercase is one of the 50 states in the Republic of the United States of America. And the way that the states really has given over some of their sovereign power is through the federal government and through federal jurisdiction, where they still get to keep their own independent sovereignty, but you'll see a lot of the laws, federal codes and laws and state laws are basically identically, and a lot of the policies that are out there are identical. So it's only in federal jurisdiction does the U.S. corporation or the United States or the U.S. citizen um, are all combined together, where the U.S. citizen is under the federal government and its jurisdiction. But when you deal with the lowercase states, it's not talking the same as the United States, or where it speaks down here at the bottom of the U.S. citizen, as well as a person who, though not citizen of the United States, owe permanent allegiance to the United States, non-citizen nationals. So, in the process of status correction, I've seen a lot too. A lot of teaching out here in the YouTube world where people are teaching you to become a state national or a non-citizen national, and you're still making yourself a U.S. citizen, and you're going to owe that permanent allegiance to the U.S. citizen employee of the corporate U.S. citizenship, who's bound, and his duties and his allegiance is to make sure he pays his taxes and he does all these other things and give up his rights in order to receive these company benefits, as such as Medicaid and health care and a bunch of more benefits that the government offers. So learn and study on your own a little bit more about uh, the the way the words are written and the different meanings and stylings of the words they use, or how they use these words when they're written in different ways. Okay, now we're down here at the third paragraph, section 308 of the INA confers U.S. nationality, but not U.S. citizenship, on persons born in the outlying possessions of the United States, or born of a parent or parents who are non-citizen nationals who meet certain physical presence of the residence requirements. The term outlying possessions of the United States is defined in this section 101A 29 of the INA as American Samoa and Swain Islands. No other status defines any other territories or any of the states as outlying possessions. So earlier, when I spoke about in the earlier paragraph up here, how they had states written in a lowercase, and the S starts with a lowercase s, and down here as well, you're gonna see that at the bottom of this, pay attention to, it says no other status define any other territories or any other states as outlying possessions. So the United States is just the 10 square mile in Columbia and Washington, D.C., and any other territory that it has bought or possessed or conquered or taken over or has bargained through treaty and has taken physical possession of it by ownership by way of buying it is the territories of the U.S. And it says that it is uh, American Samoa and the Swain Islands, and that there's no other statuses out here to define any other territories of the United States in its outlying possessions. So you will have the 50 several states are not a part of the U.S. corporation. The Republic and the United States of America is still not a part of the U.S. corporation. Okay, and down here at the bottom it says, in addition to Section 308 of the INA, Section 302 of Public Law 94-241 provides for certain inhabitants of the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands who become United States citizens by virtue of Article 3 of the Covenant to opt for non-citizen nationality status. And there's that word status as well. So all of these things have to do with your status and where and how they perceive and how they handle and interact with you is all based and determined on your status. The way the system works is it has statuses for everything and everyone, and there's systems in play for the governing or the ruling or the way to handle yourself or to operate inside of that system controlled by the status. Okay, we're down here as the department has received few requests, there is no justification for the creation of a non-citizen national certificate. Designing a separate document that includes anti-fraud mechanisms was seen as an ineffective expenditure of resources. Therefore, the department determined that those who would be eligible to apply for such a certificate may instead apply for a United States passport that would delineate the certificate that would delineate and certify their status as a national but not a citizen of the United States. So it's telling you here that they're not going to create anything else. So if you want to get your status corrected, the way to go about it is applying for your passport and doing it in a proper way. And if you have the eyes to see some of the things I've been reading and a little understanding to understand some of the things I've been talking about, that even with this information, you're going to see how to correct your status and become the national that you are, the United States of American national that you are, and bring yourself out of that jurisdiction and handle yourself and correct your status and the presumptions and the assumptions of you being the U.S. citizen and all the things that you're not. Okay, so now we're down here at almost at the bottom where it says, if a person believes he or she is eligible under the law as a non-citizen national of the United States and that persons complies with the provision of Section 341B of the INA 8 U.S.C. 1452B, he or she may apply for a passport at any passport agency or acceptance facility in the United States. When applying, the application must execute a form DS-11, the application form that I'll be showing you in a little bit of how to complete and to fill out in the process as well to help delineate your national status and correcting it from a U.S. citizen. The DS-11 and show documentary proof of their non-citizen national status as well as their identity. Okay, prudent section of law on non-citizen nationalities. And this is some of the things you want to pay attention to as well and study upon on your own and go back and do your own research and find out some of the different words and the different definitions. And to really get deep into it and get a good understanding, as I said before, we're going to put in another plug as to contact us through the information in the descriptions to join the private membership where we can get deeper in detail. We can break down the things that you may not see in here and expound on them. Okay, so we're going to start right here at B. A person who claims to be a national. It doesn't say anything about a non-citizen national. It just says a national. It doesn't say anything about U.S. citizen, non-citizen national. It just says to be a national. And what a national is, or what is your nationality, it comes into bloodline, and it also comes into geographical location, where was a physical place that you was physically born in. So we will say that for a little bit of more, and we'll get more in detail about the nationality and how to claim and state your nationality. Um, if most people are like me, I'm come up in the Christian belief, and I know that now I am of the house. I joined the saints of the faith of God in the household of God. That I'm a citizen now of the kingdom of heaven, and I'm no longer a citizen of any other part or any other physical, spiritual, or any other place I could be. For that is my home, and earth isn't. Heaven is my home, and earth is my footstool. So you also have different status too. And once you recognize and understand your status, then can it be corrected. But let me digress. A person who claims to be a national but not a citizen of the United States may apply to the Secretary of State for a certificate of non-citizen national status. Upon proof to the satisfaction of the Secretary of State that the applicant is a national but not a citizen of the United States, and two, in the case of a non-citizen national born outside the United States or its outline of possessions, taking the subscriptions before an immigration officer with the United States or its outline of possessions to the oath of allegiance required of an applicant for naturalization. So it's telling you here that if you are already a national, if you want to be drugged back in, if you want to be duped back in, if you don't want to do your due diligence and study and learn and understand what you're signing, um, and putting your name on a contract and swearing an oath to it to be truth, then you learn to read and understand what you're doing. For right now, they're telling you that the people that claim to be a national, someone that is not a U.S. citizen, that has nothing to do with the U.S. citizen status, which keeps you a U.S. citizen, or the non-citizen national status. They're saying, but if you are a national, if you're already free, you can sign up to be enslaved by one or two ways. And then it goes down and talk about the proof to the Secretary of State that the applicant is a national. And the one way to prove that, what we'll be talking about in our private membership, is a document that you already have in your possession or should have in your possession that would delineate your nationality, or how you are natural, your proof of your nationality, but not a citizen of the United States. You are one in the 50 states, not the 50 collective corporate United States. Okay. Section 101A21 of the Immigration and National Act. The term national means a person owing permanent allegiance to a state. And the state is the state that you were born in, the lowercase state, one of the 50 states, not of the collective 50 in the United States, but one in the 50 states in the United States of America and the republic for which it stands. That is your that is a part of your nationality. That is what you already are. There's your God-given right. And you being a private citizen, you were born private, and you was always a national, free man born free, free woman born free, God-given gift. So, Section 101A29 of the Immigration and National Act, the term outlining possession of the United States, meaning America, Samoa, and the Swain Islands. So, that we talked about before, that the nationality way they want you to believe is that it is all of the 50 states plus the outlying possessions of the United States, meaning the American Samoa, and the Swain Islands. So, and that is not what it actually is. Okay, Section 101A 36 of the Immigration Nationality Act, the term state. As you see here, the word state is capitalized, that it has in parentheses. And anywhere else that we've seen it in quotations or parentheses as being a lowercase s. But the term state here includes the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Virgin Islands and of the United States. So I'm going to read it in a way that maybe help you make sense. The United States is the Virgin Islands, it is Guam, it is the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico. These are the United, and what is united are these states. These states are what's united in this corporate world that gives the jurisdiction in the federal government of all the possession that it has and its outlying possessions, the Samoa Islands, American Samoa, and the Swain Islands as well. So there goes your U.S. corporation. And all the other states, as I said before earlier, that there are no other definitions that define outlining possessions of any other states, and that is the lowercase states. So all the other states are not a part in here. You don't see South Carolina, North Carolina. You don't see Virginia. You don't see New York. You don't see California. You don't see uh, Ohio. You don't see Wyoming. They are lowercase states, their own countries, their own nationality, their own nativity, own sistering countries to one another. So let's continue. Section 308 of the Immigration and Nationality Acts. Unless otherwise provided in Section 301 of this title, the following shall be nationals, but not citizens of the United States at birth. And as you see, the word plays well again in here. They have the United States as in capitalized, but they keep the word national, lowercase as it is, in its proper form as a noun. Unless otherwise provided in Section 301 of this title, the following shall be nationals, but not citizens of the United States. A person born in the outlying possessions of the United States on or after the date of formal acquisition of such possessions. 2. A person born outside the United States and its outlying possessions of parents both of whom are nationals but not citizens of the United States and have had a residence in the United States or one of the outlying possessions prior to the birth of such persons. And so even with you looking at number 2 here, it says a person born outside the United States would be anyone born in any states or any person born anywhere except in the District of Columbia in the 10 square miles of it. You were born in Washington in the 10 square miles of District of Columbia. You are a U.S. citizen by birth as well. You are a national U.S. citizen. There's a different. Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Virgin Islands of the United States, America, Samoa, and the Swain Islands, and some of the outlying possessions. So if you were born outside of those places, South Carolina is outside of those places. North Carolina is outside of those places. New York, Virginia, California, Florida, outside of those places. They're outside of the United States and its outlying possessions. And if your parent was a national, which they more likely were, but not citizens of the United States and have had a residence in the United States or one of its outlying possessions prior to the birth of such persons. 3. A person of unknown parentage found in the outlying possessions of the United States while under the age of 5 years until shown prior to attaining the age of 21 years not to have been born in such outlying possessions. And so anybody that's going through that stuff there, you are as well. If you were found to be out there lost and you become of age of all the way up to the age of 21 when you can make your declarations of who and what you are, then you are already a free man or a free woman. Okay, at 4A, during which the national parents was not outside the United States or its outlying possession for a continuous period of more than 1 year, and B, at least 5 years of which there were after attaining the age of 14 years old. The proviso of Section 301G shall apply for the national parents under the paragraph in the same manner as it applies to the citizen parents under that section. Okay. I believe I missed one. Yeah, right here at 4. A person born outside the United States in its outlying possession of parents of whom is an alien, which we are all aliens when we are foreigners and we are distanced from the United States by being born into or a national of any one of the 50 several states, who prior to the birth of such parents was physically present in the United States, is outlining possessions for a period of periods totaling not less than 7 years in any continuous period of years. So understanding now a little bit more about the statuses and what statuses that they are and what you are or what you have been presumed to be and have went through most of your whole life is continue to check off U.S. citizen on all your paperwork and everything that you do because it became a custom. It's something you've been taught since small kids through the school, through your parents. It's also been helped out through every form or format that we have in the public. It is catered to fit around those federal guidelines, which the federal government and their rules and their regulations handle the things of commercial world. They're federally guided everywhere but in the private. The private has a little bit more freedom, has a lot more freedom than it does in the public. But to say that in the least that we have the right to correct our stuff in the private, but we must understand these things. I mean, in the public, we have to understand who we are in the private. So whereas when we go out into the public, we are treated and conducted with the manner that we should be. Section 302 of the Public Law 94-241. Any person who becomes a citizen of the United States solely by virtue of the provision of Section 301, applying to those born in or residing in the Northern Mariana Islands, may within 6 months after the effective date of this section of, or within 6 months after reaching the age of 18 years, whichsoever date is later, became a national but not a citizen of the United States by making a declaration under oath before the court establishing the Constitution or laws of the United States or any other court of record in the Commonwealth in the form as following. I blank being duly sworn hereby declare my intention to be a national but not a citizen of the United States. And that statement there is one part that's going to help you in delineating. And this part here, they put it at the very end. So as I was doing something earlier, if you would take these, most of the stuff you see here in this form and take it and read it in yourself and read it backwards and try to understand it backwards. Read it forward, but try to understand it backwards. And you'll see how the twist is in everything that you need and the answers is always there. You want to take this last part here and it's going to be a part of what you're going to do. What to do, where to put it at, and the things to add with it is what only come with the private membership. But you're going to help delineate your status here by taking this phrase here and making your declaration and your intentions to be a national but not a citizen of the United States. And you'll see it has nothing here about no non-citizen national. It says none of those things. So be careful with the words that they put in your mouth to entrap you and snare you with your own words and your own devices. Study, show yourself approved, be a shrewd studier, and to begin to understand a thing so as you won't be under the control of a thing. As long as you understand it, it's going to be above you. Also, another thing I want to put in here real quick is that learning a lot of this information and learning a lot of these words and learning what these things are will help you out. Delineating and deciphering the things that you've always been doing and going back and revisiting the things and challenging the things, all the things that you know to be truth, go back and question them and see why are they true and see where they should be true. Go find the codes, the statutes, the laws, the case laws. Go back and read federal codes. Go back and read, like you would say, the UFC codes. Go read some IRS publications. Read their guidelines, their rules, and their things and get their literature and get their understanding. But this is what you're going to be doing to correcting your status. As I said before, it's a small snippet. I want to put it out here so as people can understand. I don't have all the technology that I need right now and would like to do it. So what I will probably do is be piecing together the other part of this video that will go with this and be uploading it all together. But what we're going to be doing now that we understand a little bit about your nationality and the statuses and the differences in between the statuses and you are want to know which status do you want to correct and operate from, or how do you want to be recognized. You as a private individual has the right to allow them to know who you are and what you are, so as you can be treated up under the right guidelines that govern the correct statuses. Um, so we'll be peeking into um, the GPO style manual, and we're going to see how they classify and show different statuses. And so as you can understand where you really stand and not what you've been taught where you should stand.